Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. Wishing you all a beautiful start to your week, sending you all love and high vibrations. Today I have some really important information to share with you. I'll start with recapping the past couple days, since in my last video I exposed why today would be a volatile day in the market, and over the past 24 hours we've watched that unfold. I'll be sharing a Gematria decode and a special date that I found coming up next week. Then we'll jump into the charts to do some macro technical analysis on the crypto market. And also, I just wanted to let everyone know that next week on Patreon will be a very special Red Pill podcast. Instead of covering the 4 to 5 different altcoins my Patreon supporters vote on, I'll actually be doing a full technical analysis review of the main ISO20022 coins and share some words of wisdom regarding the future of blockchain technology and its implementation in the global economy. So that podcast will be available next Sunday on my Patreon at patreon.com/watersabove, and you'll get access to all of my previous Red Pill podcasts. So far, I've done over 60 episodes. They're packed with value. The Wolfpack has been showing lots of interest in the ISO20022 coins, so I thought it would be special to dedicate a podcast just to those charts. So I'll cover XRP, which I usually cover every week, XLM, Stellar Lumens, XDC, Zinfin Network, iota, algorand for the main compliant list, and if there's a little bit extra time, I'll recap HBAR and Quant. I've already done full Gematria decodes for XRP, XDC, and HBAR, which are available in my Mastermind course, and that course is on sale for Patreon supporters as well. I'm really looking forward to that next podcast and building a dialogue around the ISO20022 coins in our Discord. I'll probably open up a separate thread just for that discussion and for our community to share their decodes as well. It's really good to just have a non-emotional, non-biased conversation about the future economy. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. The link to my website can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below for access to the Mastermind course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So, you're probably aware now if you've watched my past 2 videos, I've been bringing up this date of June 7th, today. And a lot of people were concerned about yesterday because the date numerology was the 6-6 and the 2-2-2 equals 6, so that would be the 666 date. And I was not feeling anything about that date in particular because nothing was special regarding the date numerologies or any other connections besides this esoteric connection of the 666. And you guys know me, it's about finding the esoteric. It's about looking deeper and finding what's hidden. So this kind of stuff is too obvious to me. And we actually saw the complete opposite of what most people assumed. Those who were decoding this were actually assuming that yesterday would be red, and it ended up being green. And that is exactly why I didn't talk about this date and I was focused on today. The reason was because I had some esoteric connections, one of which was the main 111 days until the end of the Shemitah. So when I was connecting this date to the upcoming Rosh Hashanah, it gave me 111, and I showed in my last video that the 111 days is very, very powerful in this market, and it's something that happened last Rosh Hashanah when you take from Rosh Hashanah of September 7th of 2021 back 111 days, you had May 19th, which was a big market slide for the crypto market. I mean, it was a pretty historical day. And that date was huge. And I remember back then when I was exposing Shemitah, very few people in the community had any awareness to it and the power of it. So now that we're here and it's been quite a while, we've seen how this whole Shemitah year has been, and it's proving itself to be no different than any other Shemitah cycle. And that's really important because when there's a cyclical nature to the markets, when there's a cyclical nature to the world, we need to be the ones who have awareness of that so that we could prepare ourselves while everyone else is just lost in the sauce. So this date that we had, just a quick recap, we know it had this 55 date numerology. I'm going to show you one of the important connections we made with the Gematria. So it was Platinum Jubilee, and I've been talking about this actually for probably going on over a half a year now, but Platinum Jubilee in the Chaldean cipher gives us that 55, and that was the 55 date numerology. And the Platinum Jubilee is the Queen's Jubilee, the Queen Elizabeth. And again, Queen Elizabeth giving you that 55 in Chaldean. And then, of course, this all ties back into cryptocurrency because this is Satoshi Nakamoto equals 55, the 5 5s. And this is just super important stuff to pay attention to. So now that we're seeing this date numerology play out, we also had one other negative aspect to connect this to, which was the 19 in standard date numerology. That 19, like the C word 19, which, this triggered a huge change on the world stage. So this 1-9 number, we were also talking about how 1 is the A in the alphabet, and 9, the ninth letter is I. So you have AI, artificial intelligence, and that's a huge piece moving forward in this transhumanist world of blockchain technology, quantum financials, etc. So that was just a side note. But whenever we're seeing multiple things and confluence, that's something we need to pay attention to. Yesterday, there was really not much going on in the numbers. So it was today that we saw that 111, and that's very, very important. We know that the 111 also ties back to New York, and New York is what runs this. The New York time zone is what runs the global stock market. And I've shown that and proved that in many, many of my videos. So now I want to move on to a couple of dates that are upcoming that aren't as important, but just to show you guys some of the date numerologies and why this could be important. One of which is the 9th, this 6-9 date. We know the 6-9 is about balance. We know that Rosh Hashanah coming up, September 26th of 2022, leaves 96 days left in the year. And we know that 69 is powerful because Bitcoin's all-time high is 69,000, and Saturn gives us that 69. And this is all tied in because Saturn, with that 21, we know Bitcoin has 21 million coins in supply. Saturn Nakamoto, Satoshi Nakamoto, that's all coded in. So that 69 is obvious now, that we've seen that be the exact top of the Bitcoin market thus far in this particular cycle. And I just released some content called the 1400-day cycle and the 247-day cycle. It's 2 separate videos that are available on my Patreon, and I broke down and it's becoming clearer and clearer as I study these charts more from a more esoteric angle. I'm seeing that this market is 100% ran on an algorithm to the day, to the exact dates. And we'll break that down a little bit deeper as we go. But those 2 videos, I think, were a big exposure to the algorithmic nature of the market itself. So this was just a quick, date to consider. Let's move on to the next day, which will be 108 days until the end of Shemitah. Now that 108 could be considered spiritual completion if you wanted to break down the meaning of that specific number. But what I'm interested in is how it's the 1-8. So if you remove that 0, you get the 1-8. We know the 18 is very powerful in Judaism, but also we have Shemitah giving us that 18 right there. And we've made a bunch of connections this year with the 18, and that matters a lot because we're in the Jewish, sabbatical year, the year of the Shemitah. Now, this date could be something as well, the 12th. The purpose of this date, in my opinion, could just be a couple of deeper things, one of which is the 314. So this date will be connected to Rosh Hashanah by 3 months and 14 days. And of course, the 314 is pi. And that would be a more esoteric form of finding out how pi fits into all of this. And then another thing to consider is it's the day that leaves 202 days left in the year. So that's the 202, or if you remove that 0 in the rules of numerology, you're going to get 22 in the year. 222 in the Hebrew year, 5782, which adds up to 22. 22 being the master builder, master destroyer. All right. And that connection to pi is very important. I do remember there was a connection to this actual date here. Yeah. So just look at the right side of the screen. You'll see November 11th, which is the 111 date. If you just take that 0 out, you get the 111, like I was telling you about before with New York. This was the day Bitcoin hit the all-time high of $69,000. And it was the 314th day of the year, the 314 or pi. And also the standard date numerology was that 8, or the Taurus field, the analemma. This has everything to do with the movement of the sun, Bitcoin being the artificial sun created by Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, what runs the cryptocurrency market, just like the sun, provides the anyways, the point that I'm making here is this 314 is so important, and that 111, again, tying back to New York with the 111 and what we were discussing before about the number 69 tied back to Saturn. And this happened on a Wednesday, which is the day of Mercury. And I'm going to show you a connection for Mercury in just 1 second, but that 314 is massive. And again, like I was just telling you before, connected to the upcoming Rosh Hashanah, which will be exactly 3 months and 14 days between June 12th, the day leaving 202 days in this year of 222. So this date is something that I believe now you're seeing my methodology. Now you're seeing how I'm taking all these things and tying it together. Now here's the big one, and it'll probably be the title of the video that I'm going to pay the most attention to is this specific date right here, next Wednesday. And those who are on my Patreon that watched my last Red Pill podcast, I discussed this at length. I broke down this full date. Anyone who's on the Patreon, when they get the Red Pill podcasts on Sundays, you usually get a market wrap up, like early access content. So I broke this down very thoroughly. For those of you that are already Patreon supporters of mine, go rewatch that video. It's packed full of data regarding this specific date. And I'm just going to do a quick recap of it now that it's on my mind. But this date will be 103 days connecting to the end of the Hebrew year. That 103 is very powerful, especially when it's a Wednesday connection, because Wednesday, or miércoles, is the day of Mercury, okay? And remember this 103 right here, because Mercury is giving us that 103. The 103 connection to the exact day of the week, tying back to the end of this. And Mercury plays a big role in all of this. Go just look up basic, the mythology behind Mercury. And you could also look up the mythology behind Hermes, and then you could go a little deeper to Thoth. But just for Mercurius, you have the god of financial gain, commerce. That's where we get the word commerce from. MRC, like merchandise, it's from Mercury or Mercurio. And this, again, when they're talking about commerce, merchandise, logistics, all of that, it's about fiat money, fake artificial currency, okay? That us mortals have to treat as currency and not like physical money. That's the big difference when you get into the law of attraction and manifestation, how this reality actually works. So what's deep about this is this Mercury also being tied to Wednesday, the wedding day. And again, that's like the marriage between the gods and the mortals. That's what Mercury's job is. He is the voice or the translator between the mortals and the gods, and he's considered the trickster. This is really interesting stuff. I believe you guys could look a lot deeper into this and find some very, very esoteric qualities to Mercury that's left out when people only talk about stuff like Mercury stationed retrograde and that kind of stuff. There's a deep quality to Mercury. And one of the bigger connections, the biggest connection actually, is the Mercury with the 23 Chaldean tied back to Bitcoin with the 23 Chaldean. All right. This being the 9th prime number, and 9 is the number of spatial infinity. Okay. You have 0 being the number of nothing, and 9 is everything. All right. So it's big, big stuff. And that 103 connection being made with Mercury, 103 tied to exactly the date of Mercury, bringing it to the 103 days, massive. And one other thing to consider is the 311. That's the 33. The 3 times 11 equals 33. And we by now know about the number 33 and its importance. So this date, again, is actually the day after the upcoming full moon. And the day of the full moon in the numerology, I'm going to break it down a little bit deeper for you guys. But that 14th day of this month, and this will also be 104 days till Rosh Hashanah. That 104, you remove the 0 in the rules of numerology, you're getting the 14. And June is actually the 4th month in the calendar. March starts the true first month in the system we had before the Gregorian calendar. So the current Gregorian calendar that we're using is an absolute scam. It was recently invented. It's basically a Vatican by design project. And with that being said, this is part of the word spells and the etymology used against us. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but July, which will be next month, and July and August were added to the calendar, okay? Those months being added. Now, this kind of messes everything up and it could get quite complicated. I've already shared quite a bit of data with you guys, but just know March is the first, April is the second, then you have May is the third month, and then fourth month is June. So this would actually be written internationally as 144, okay? The 14-4, fourth month, the 144 date. It's powerful. All right, tying also into this 104 and this also being that 14th day. Now, this number 14 has been playing a big role this far, like in this year. And a lot of people are like, Jordan, why are you talking about this number 14? Well, remember, this is how we were able to determine how the last Super Bowl would go. This is how we've been able to determine any positive energy in the market, actually. A lot of the time we've been getting a negative energy in the market. It's been tying back to the number 15 and 16 or the tiger, because we're in the year of the tiger and this is in the year of the Shemitah. So we have to look at the symbology and tied to the astrology and the animals and all of that. If you really want to become a sophisticated decoder, you need to pay attention to this stuff as well. All right. So one other thing to mention is this will be the second to last day of Taurus when you're considering sidereal astrology. I don't really pay too much attention to tropical anymore, but when you're getting into sidereal, you could actually see right here, Taurus will be ending on the 15th of June. Okay, so this is a little more esoteric and something that I believe could be helpful for people. In tropical, we're actually considered Gemini right now, Gemini the twins, and that has a huge connection to some deeper stuff as well. With Gemini, we have that 19 right there in Chaldean. Twins, we have that 19 in Chaldean. We see that 22. We know that Twin Tower event was all about the 911, the 119, and the 911. And I went over that in my past maybe 3 videos ago or so. So check out the year of the moon key. And that was very exposing on a lot of this stuff. But getting back to Taurus, Bull gives you that 14. And that's what I was connecting here with the 14 and the 104. And that bull being Taurus, or the Taurus field, okay, giving us the 43 in Chaldean, which is the 14th prime number, all right? And it's all about the Taurus because the Jews are considering the law, the Torah, right? It's all about the bull. It's all about the toroidal fields. And that's a big, piece to how this reality or realm operates. Now, one other thing to mention about this full moon is it's landing on a Tuesday, which is the day of Mars, Martes. And that day of Mars, again, when you reverse MAR, you get RAM or Ram. And Mars is also Aries, and Aries is the Ram, okay? Leading into the month of March, MAR, Mars. And this Mar, again, giving you that 14. But the connection here is just for the Ram and how this all ties back to the shofar. The shofar is what they blow during the Rosh Hashanah or at the end of Yom Kippur. And this shofar is the ram's horn. And this ram's horn has everything to do with the Shemitah year. And that's how I was able to determine that the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, would win this past Super Bowl. And you could see Ram gives you the 14. LA Rams gives you that 14 right there. And this was very important. Go check out that Super Bowl Decoded. I released it before the Super Bowl happened. And I said very adamantly that I felt that. Well, I think I released the decode after, but I said this whole decode that I'm sharing today, I said it before the event. And I said very, very clearly that I have a feeling that the Tigers or the Bengals would lose based on this whole decode. And that actually turned out proper. And then finding out these bigger connections, like it was Super Bowl 56. And Super Bowl 56 has the Roman numeral of LVI, and in Gematria, LVI gives you that 43, which again is the 14th prime number. 14 tying back to Ram. This was amazing. It was a really mind-blowing decode because I don't watch sports. I don't give it any of my energy, but I'm seeing the machinations of how this all comes together, and it's like easy for me now. And that's all I wanted to do was share this information with people so that it could become easier for you in whatever you're decoding. One last thing to mention about the number 14 is silicon is the 14th element in the periodic table. We've heard of Silicon Valley, like that San Francisco, yada, yada. But this all has to do with computers and artificial intelligence. And we're moving into that world of metaverse and virtual reality. And what the truth is, actually, the real Silicon Valley is in Israel. And a lot of people don't know that, but that's facts. That's deep, and a lot of people will start to become illumined to that, and how Israel has always been used as a kind of transit point for some of the big changes in globalism on the world stage, and it's kind of hidden in the shadows for that reason. Anyways, I will digress. I just wanted to share as much information as possible regarding this upcoming full moon, but more importantly, it's all about this 15th date for me. And I shared all the reasons. I mean, even right there with the standard date numerology, we're getting the 18, and that 18 tying back to Shemitah. I'm really excited to see how this all plays out, because once I find all these connections, it excites, where people are at in their journey of decoding. It adds all these extra layers. One other thing to mention about this 103, and now that it's on my mind, is it's the 27th prime number. And 27, you get that right here too. 77 is 2 sevens, the 7-7. And that 27 again ties back to Jupiter. Judaism, that's all what it's tied back to. Jupiter being the son of Saturn. And that's why everything with, our world stage regarding the Abrahamic religion, regarding the Vatican, regarding world domination and control, and all of the ties into legislature and basically our reality as we know it, the simulation. It's ran by these quote unquote, mythologies in a sense. And whether you're into the astrological portion of it or Kabbalah or whatever it is, you're going to see how the Gematria being included will add a groundbreaking layer, a paradigm shift in anyone, wherever you're at, whether you're into tarot cards, you're into tropical astrology, sidereal astrology, Vedic astrology, whatever. Gematria is really what helps you see the code playing itself out. And you could utilize this before it all comes to our reality. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little decode that I shared with you. Lots of nuggets of wisdom. Let's get into the charts. So what we saw over the past 24 hours was essentially a green yesterday, which led into a rejection. And this is the 4-hour chart, by the way. This right here, this green moving average on this 4-hour chart is the 200 exponential, the 200 EMA. We keep getting rejected at this level. And you could see ever since we actually got below it, coming back to April 6th, which was a while ago, pretty long time ago now, if we're actually considering how long and arduous this trading range has been that we're in. Since getting below that level, we've gotten multiple rejections on this level, coming down to lower lows in the structure. And recently we had a little bit of a pop up when we saw this 200 simple cross below the 200 exponential, and then again a little bit of a rejection on it yesterday. Now, what I think is important, explaining the time release function and the algorithmic nature of this market. Yesterday, right at the daily close, this went short. It was just like a cascading effect of shorts piling in. This proves that this date and this date were all by design on an algorithm. It was all just triggered. There's no humans involved in this. The moment the daily close came in, the shorts were just boom, time released. It's beautiful how these apex predators are able to move this market on timing with bots. It's pretty fascinating. So we got a Twin Towers candle is what I call this, when we see one candle going up and then equidistant, the same length in the opposite direction. The Twin Towers, we also had a classic one come in back here. This was an amazing time. It was around the time I was designing my Mastermind course, all the way back in the summer of 2020. This was the most amazing Twin Towers event that I saw, because this was a huge shakeout. I remember the sentiment on YouTube and the socials at this time. Everyone thought we were just going to keep going higher. And then boom, right into Rosh Hashanah correction. If only they knew about the Hebrew New Year and how special and important that is, they would know that we always correct around Rosh Hashanah. So with that being said, right here, we got that Twin Towers. And the reason, of course, we are exactly 111 days out from Rosh Hashanah coming in. And that matters a lot. You can see right there, September 26th. And what I was telling you guys about before in my video earlier in the decode was this being the start of Shemitah, this big red candle event right here. If you move that, also this day, Shemitah, we were down 11% going 111 days back, and we hit this big red candle here. It's so coded. I love it. So this is nice actually to see because we're filling in this trading range and it's proving and solidifying that this 30K level is pretty strong for Bitcoin. Now that we're at like, what would this be? Almost a full month now trading. Yeah, we're at 29 days trading within this lower range, and this bottom level of support kind of needed to be filled out because back here when we retested it in January of 2021, leading into the summer of 2021, we were just wicking down to this area. We actually didn't really fill it out too much. So I know some like perma bears are going to be like, Waters, you're bullish when the chart's like, but no, I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. I'm a wolf. I don't give a fuck about bull or bear market. None of that matters to me. I'm in this market for the long haul because I see what the future is for the economy. I know about Agenda 2030. I know about Agenda 21. I know about all this stuff already. So I'm not going to get emotional to bull and bear market conversation. That stuff is for people who are, new into markets and they need terms and the nomenclature to hang on to. And it makes them an emotional trader, a very emotional being. I don't have time for that. And people who follow my work don't get lost in that either. So one of the things to mention, though, that's been pretty noticeable, and I'm going to remove these moving averages, and I'm going to show you another set of moving average. It's this 34 exponential moving average. So you see this red moving average, 34 EMA. This is something that I teach in my Mastermind course. It's a little bit of a weird moving average, but it works. It's beautiful. Now, you can see right here, ever since about 20th of April, so the same timeline that we were talking about before, once we started to have this band cross bearish where the blue crossed below the red, which happened right here, we moved into a downtrend. That's why I like this EMA band. It's the 132134. Now, we're actually coiling back up again at a lower range, but we keep getting rejected at that 34 exponential. We saw it happen back about the end of the month of May and then recently. So getting a daily close above that 34 EMA plus getting a bullish posture on the EMA bands, meaning the blue, orange, and red in that posture instead of in reverse like it is now, essentially flipping into a bullish range, that would be what would be ideal for continuation to the upside. So I'm sorry if this is confusing. I know I don't get too deep into TA like on my Red Pill podcasts, but I thought this would be helpful for you guys just for today's video to really break it down thoroughly for those of you nerds out there. Don't worry, we love you. So, and I'm the nerd, obviously, because I'm the one explaining it. So I would like to see a daily close above that 34. I would like to see this blue moving average or the 13 EMA actually cross above that 21 EMA. Maintaining daily closes above the 21 daily, it's not as important as it used to be. Now, let's go a little bit more macro. I'm going to go to the 5-day chart. This is really powerful stuff, guys. So the 5-day chart is my favorite chart. If you don't have premium TradingView, you're not going to be able to have access to it, and that's fine. Maybe I could include a discount code or something into my description. I think you guys, someone asked me about that recently, like my charting software and what I use. So I'll change my description soon to have that TradingView included. I'll actually just put it in this video. It might be easier for me to remember. And if you guys find that helpful, just let me know in the comments section, because TradingView, I love this software. I think it's been really helpful for me, especially with adding things like the moon cycles indicator. That's been baller. And I use so many indicators that I teach in my advanced trading course, and all of those tutorials included. Now, we're clearly basing structure right here. We can see that any daily closes below 29K is probably going to be problematic because we've been, 5-day closures. The 5-day close is very important because it's a macro candle close. Holding this level of around 29K would be ideal. The next 5-day actually closes on the night of June 9th, so that's in 2 days. I would love for this to continue in a bullish trajectory, but I don't know. 32K on the next close seems like it's going to take a little bit of heat under Bitcoin's ass to push it up to that level. So what I really wanted to share, though, is I'm going to turn off all of these, and I'm just going to turn on my 8, 55, and 200 moving averages. And I want to show you something in the macro, and then we'll wrap this up because any TA on ETH or XRP is just going to be very short. Now, we're going to see a pattern here. So this is the bull run 2013, 2017, and our current cycle that we're in now. We can see there's something going on here that's really powerful, where when this 55 moving average, the 55 simple moving average, gets crossed by the 8 simple moving average, we have what is called a bull trap, followed by continuation down to the 200s. This would be the 200 exponential and the 200 simple moving average. So step 1, when we start to close with this 8 symbol below the 55 symbol, that's a sign that we're probably going to gravitate down to the 200s. Let's go to our current cycle. Right here, we have the 8 cross below the 55. We get rejected across the 55, and then we gravitate down to the 200s. Let's go to the last cycle. You can see right here. Actually, let's go to the cycle of 2014. We can see the 8 slightly cross below the 55, and then we have some trouble around the 55, and we dump to the 200s. You can see here, this was the cycle top. We have the 8 cross below the 55 slightly. We have some trouble around the 55, and then we go down to the 200s. So this is actually repeating, and lately, if you want to look at the 5-day chart, you can see we're sandwiched between the 200 exponential moving average and the 200 simple, okay? Being sandwiched in between that area with the 8 crossing below the 200 is that next stage. And you could see that actually happen around that C-word crash. It was just, you know, the Black Swan event was quickly canceled out. So the Black Swan event initially, of course, it invalidates this, but overall, it actually doesn't. It was just a Black Swan event, right? It happened very quickly, and it was due to, you know, that whole ritual anyways. It was just a ritual, like the Twin Towers event. Of course, between C-word 19 being declared a pandemic and the 9/11/2001 date was exactly 222 months, the 222. Like we're in the 222 year right now. So I am now seeing that there needs to be, you know, I don't want to call it too early, but we're really close to approaching what is called a bottom. I don't like using terms like that, but it's just cyclically, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're pretty much at bottom levels. We could go deeper, and the depth of which we can go would be on the weekly chart down to the 200 simple, and that'd be somewhere around 22, 23K. Now, the way that I would anticipate this to go actually would be popping up from here. We can go over the levels on another video, but popping up from here or bouncing off of the 200 EMA, getting rejected maybe again at the 55, and then after Rosh Hashanah coming down to the 200. So that would mean something like November, October, retesting 23K. And the reason why that would be so perfect, 23K, is because we're going to be moving into the year of 2023. And this will be the Hebrew year of 5783, which is 23. So remember that this is all coded in anyways. So Bitcoin equals 23 in Chaldean. I mean, that again, it's all tied into the code. So I would not be surprised if Bitcoin at the end of Shemitah, after September 26th, past Rosh Hashanah, we go down to that 23, bounce like we always do when we get down to the 200 simple. So on the weekly chart, we're not at bottom yet because we've seen that we do interact with the 200 simple, which would be this dark green line, even during the C-word crash. We came down, wicked way below, but then we gravitated back up to the 200s within 1 week, okay? That's a black swan. But now with that being said, we have yet to actually backtest that 23K level. And some people argue, well, we could go way, way, way lower, like 17K. But the one thing that I was mentioning in my last Red Pill podcast is Bitcoin has never done that before. And what do I mean by that? When it makes a cycle top, and it goes up and rallies to a new cycle top, it never backtests the prior cycle top, ever. You could see right here, we went 14,000, came down, new cycle top. The lowest we went was 3,000, okay? So that's just how Bitcoin reacts, and that's kind of what it does over time. It's a scarcity model and, you know, stock to flow, blah, 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 blah. I don't really want to go into that conversation, but so far Bitcoin over a decade plus has been playing out this cycle, and Bitcoin has traded through a Shemitah year before. It was back here, 2014 and 2015, and that was the best buying zone of Bitcoin of all time. It traded literally around $200 to $300 for like a year, and then look at what it did. It 10x'd. So, you know, I'm not here to change people's minds. I'm here to share the data. And I know there's a million people out there that do TA. That's the TA we do is different. You know, it's mixing in these esoteric principles and zooming out and being non-emotional to how this is actually going. So with that being said, I think 23K is in the cards. I would just anticipate it to be near the end of the year, somewhere around November. As for right now, based on this 5-day chart, this is looking pretty good. And I do see that we dig deeper, but every cycle we're digging less deeper. The same way every cycle we have less of a ROI. Bitcoin is having less of a correction to the downside. That's good. That's showing it's becoming a more sophisticated asset, and it's getting out of the hands of retail. The more it gets out of the hands of retail, the less leverage trading and the less volatility, but the more secure and the better of an investment it seems to be, at least for the institutional player and the player who has the most money. And people might not like those people, might hate them, but they are the reason this market even is around, okay? They're the ones that are allowing this market to even be a thing. And people think like, oh, well, no, Charles Hoskinson and, Justin Sun and Brad Garlinghouse, they would do this with or with. No, they wouldn't. They're given permission to do this. They're cover boys. They're just there placed by the system to show you that this is real, but it ain't real. It's all running on an algorithm and it's all coded in. And the people who run this crypto show are the people who run the economy as a whole, which is probably less than 5 men who also control your food supply, who also control everything else. So if they're showing you a person and giving you a name to that person, they are merely just a sock puppet to give you an illusion of a reality, just like they do with Elon Musk, just like they do with Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and all of those people. So I'm very interested in how this next couple weeks is going to play out. Obviously, my main time frame that I'm not going to stop paying attention to until we surpass it will be the end of Rosh Hashanah. But we have some time. It's June. And we do have about 3-4 months ahead of us to see how this is all going to play. I do think June 14th could be something. But in the macro analysis, I mean, we are looking around bottom territory. There's so many things that are compelling regarding how this could be a bottom. I even went over this chart as well. And I think I might have talked about it in my last video regarding the bottoms and how on the weekly we're seeing Bitcoin have these green dots on Market Cipher indicator exactly at bottoms at the same time the RSI is flashing into oversold. So compelling for sure from a technical perspective. Just quickly look at ETH. So ETH is not looking good. And the reason why ETH is taking a beating is because Bitcoin dominance has been on an upswing. We're looking at 47%, pretty much backtesting the highs of October. So that doesn't bode well for altcoins when Bitcoin has a little bit of a correction and dominance is above 45%. Now, where we're at with this on ETH is really towing the line. I would like to see today's daily close stay above the 1770 level, which we're trading at right now. And there's plenty of time in the day. It's only 11 a.m. There's probably 7 more hours before the daily close. We would like to start getting back above this 2000 though. As long as ETH is below 2000, it could chop here for a minute. And seeing this rejection here on June 6th, right below that bounce here of May 18th and 19th, I don't like to see that. So this now is sandwiched at the lows, and I believe it's probably going to trade here for a little bit of time, even if Bitcoin has a short-term breakout because of Bitcoin dominance. And that matters for all the other altcoins as well. So if Bitcoin wants to go up by 10%, the altcoins might only go up by 4 or 5%, which it will take about a week after that for the altcoins to catch up. But initially during the Bitcoin breakout, while its dominance is above 45%, it's going to run the show even more dramatically. So on a 5% correction for Bitcoin, you'll still see a 10% correction for all the altcoins. Today is obviously an isolated event because it's the 111 days. Now we're seeing everything pretty much trading exactly the same percentages. So all of the coins are trading around 4 or 5% down. But this is trading at support. There's really nothing to say until we break daily closes below 1700, like 1,700 flat. That would be probably a move down to the 1,500 level. That would look pretty rough for ETH. In the meantime, any bullish recovery would be welcome for the altcoin holders. Now with this is definitely trading and towing around support. Let's see what we have here. Yeah. So I'll just keep it short with XRP. Anything below 44 cents, it's probably going to be trading in this range, sandwiched between the 36, 37 cent level and 44 cents. It needs to get over 44 cents. In the meantime, it's just trading around support, just like, actually, no, it has broken support substantially compared to the ETH chart, but a lot of altcoins look like this XRP chart right now. XRP does not look isolated. The only thing isolated really about it is the SEC thing and the fact that it hasn't broken an all-time high from the last cycle, but also coins like Icon and a lot of the OG coins like Bitcoin Cash, I think Dash, a couple of them, along with XRP. We know it's an OG coin trading back in like the 2014, 2015 cycle. but it has yet to have that phase of price discovery. It's still trapped in the same trading range going back to 2017. Now, with that being said, this trading into this area for me is positive because this is what's called a spring in Wyckoff. And I've explained that in my past couple videos, so go rewatch those if you haven't. So until then, below 44 cents, not too promising. Anything above 44 cents, it's probably going to come into this 55 simple moving average on the daily. And until then, just have to see how it holds on these levels. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, next Sunday, I will be doing Red Pill podcast covering the ISO20022 coins. XRP, I'll definitely be giving a mention and reviewing as I always do. And then I will be doing this Friday live stream for everyone excited to hang out with the Wolfpack. I appreciate every single one of you. Much love.